Cletus got a good voice. Let's hear Cletus.
1 second.
Does Cletus have as loud a voice as he does as big of a punch? Next guest, okay? He's provided lots of excitement out here on Long Island and really starting worldwide as well. And Cletus Seldin really is a throwback to the sport of boxing, and boxing is a very unforgiving sport, okay? You could have a great career, have one bad fight, people are going to harp on that fight, but the good thing about it, you have one bad fight, make the next one a good one, and that's what they're going to be focusing on. Now, Cletus Seldin is a throwback in several different ways. One, he's very exciting whenever he fights, okay? It's not just about winning to Cletus, but it's about providing excitement as well. He's a Jewish fighter, throwback to the old days, okay, where he's a elite fighter, you know, who mixes a world-class level. Cletus Seldin also fought 3 times in 11 weeks. Now that's unheard of when someone gets to his level. 3 times in 11 weeks? I mean, you gotta be kidding me. That's, and that's that also only the 3rd fighter to have appeared on HBO in consecutive months. The other 2, Roy Jones and I think Mike Tyson as well. So in the history of HBO, only 3 fighters have fought on HBO in consecutive months, and Cletus Seldin is one of them. Now, his 2 fights on HBO, mixed results. First one, sensational knockout. Sensational 3rd round knockout, created buzz. His last fight, he suffered his first pro defeat, where he lost by decision. But even then, just think of it. So many undefeated fighters, when they suffer their first loss, it's really devastating. And even though Cletus was clearly beaten in that fight, he provided great entertainment value. He never stopped coming, never stopped looking for the knockout, never gave up. You can argue in a certain sense that time ran out on Cletus more than he lost. I mean, because as long as the fight was going to last as many rounds, he was going to keep coming, and he was always trying to win. A lot of other fighters in that spot, they're fighting the other guy's hometown, they've fallen very far behind in the scoring as Cletus did, and have no hope of winning a decision, would kind of give in a certain sense, but Cletus never gave in mentally in that fight, and he lost the decision. First loss, I was speaking to his promoter, Joe DeGuardia, and he'll tell us your plans. I think he has you coming back into Paramount. It's one gentle step back and then move forward again. And we're going to see a lot of Cletus Seldin on a high level, I'm sure, but without me talking, he's the man who went here to speak about his career tonight. I bring you up junior welterweight Cletus Seldin.
If you guys don't know, Cletus Seldin, Eagle Hammer, 21-1 on Long Island boy. It's getting a little used to saying that 21-1 record now. But you know, it is what it is, and that's how it goes. If you guys don't know, in November, HBO had me as a king, the next Rocky Marciano, the next great fighter that's going to come here, be on HBO and be the next thing. And in December, they never wanted to hear or see from me ever again. Ever again. I don't know how many people have heard. The good thing about you guys is today in 2018, there's the internet, and they just can rip you apart. Boxing to me has become one of the most important things, and pretty much has showed everybody what the type of person that you are. That's the best thing about boxing. You can prove to yourself. And if you get up and you fight and try to win each round, you continue to do that, you really show the people what type of person you are. Growing up as a child, I never ever liked school. I was never good at school. I was always an athlete. I always liked playing sports. I played any sport possible, kickball, basketball, wrestling, football, baseball, whatever it was. I would always love going out and becoming a kid and doing what I loved. I loved going outside and becoming an athlete. At home was a little different. I didn't have a really good backing from family, so my only outing was sports. I played sports all the way up to high school, and I always told myself that I was always going to be a professional athlete. I never knew what sport it was going to be. I was a state wrestling champ. I played in 2004. We won a Long Island championship. I was a starting cornerback. Smallest guy in the field, won a Bulldog Award, competed in bodybuilding, took 5th place in the Eastern USA's for muscular development. 145 pounds, I lifted 470 pounds for the state record. Brown belt in judo, did kickboxing fights. Actually, my first fight was here at the Planet Deutsch here. Michael Corleone actually matched that up horribly. I felt like some New York State champion. I beat him anyway, so I don't care. But I always wanted to be an athlete, and I always wanted to try to do something. And after finishing up high school, you had to find a way to get out. And I still wanted to live that dream of being a professional athlete. And I found my way into a boxing gym, and I was possibly the worst boxer that has ever walked into a gym consistently on a regular basis. Back in Shirley's boxing gym, Veterans Memorial, and that is by far like a rugged, tough, massive beach gym. You know, the kids go in there, they all just grab one mouthpiece and they go. Second I walk in there, you pay all your money up front, boom, kids beat the heck out of you, and then it's up to you if you want to come back every day. And that's the way that gym was raised. They had a lot of great fighters out of there. So, but my thing was this. I hated losing. I hated losing so much that I came back every day. And every day I would get beat up and take a little bit of a beating. But I noticed something that I can do in this sport that I couldn't do in the other sports. It wasn't about if you were tall enough, fast enough, or strong enough. It was if you had enough inside you if you wanted to become something in this sport. If you came every day and worked extremely hard, you could become something. And within 1 year, I was able to beat these kids that were there since 8 years old. I started boxing at 22 years old. If you say that to anybody that knows boxing, everybody knows that's impossible. You can't. They think you're insane. Had 30 amateur fights. Get the hell out of here. When I first started, I went to a bunch of promoters. I had a different backing than everybody else. Because I played football, I thought you go to a promoter, you give them a highlight page. You get to say, here you go, here you go. None of promoters, no managers, nobody wanted to deal with me. And then, even like Lou Bella and stuff like that, they didn't want nothing to do with me. So, next thing you know, I'm at a boxing gym, and one of Pete Brodsky's fighters, ex-fighters, Steve Damiani, gives me a call, and I tell him that I want to be a professional boxer or whatever. I did 3 years in the amateurs. I fought in the ringside world championship. I did everything I had to do in such a short span because I knew I had a short career. So I got right into it, went to the finals in Golden Gloves in the open class the first try, which took a lot of other fighters many years to do. And back to Pete Brodsky, I tell them, hey, I want to go pro. They go, hey, we got Pete Brodsky. Boom, okay, yeah, whatever you say. Next thing you know, I go home. Pete Brodsky calls my grandma, which I'm in my grandma's house. Hello, this is Pete Brodsky. I would like to speak to Cletus. My grandma, like, oh, hey, Pete.
Just like this.
And Cletus, is it Peter Brodsky on the phone? Pete would call my grandmother week after week and have conversations with her over and over and over. Anyways, we went down. He treated me like I thought professional athletes would be treated. Bring you down to training for a week, see what you got, and go on from there. So I went down there, trained with him, and Ed Gersh did everything I had to do. They liked me. I'm a white Jewish kid from Long Island that can punch. What can go wrong, right? But for my amateurs, I really had no coaching, so he really was able to develop me into a good strategic fighter, which I really liked. Come back to New York. I go home, tell my parents, hey, these guys want to sign me. What should I do? They go, you got it, kid. You can do it, whatever you got it. You can do it on your own. I said, all right. So I always believed that if you're a professional athlete, you got paid to practice. So I'm going in there like, hey, I want this amount of money for this much practicing, for these many fights or whatever. And they said no, and I said no, back, and I actually got a weekly stipend. And I was like one of the 1% of fighters that ever was able to get that. And I'm very proud of that because I always believed if you were a professional athlete, you got paid to go to practice every day, not for your fights. You know, throughout my career, my first professional boxing match was $800. This was only like 6 years ago. Even my fights at the Paramount, you know, throughout my career, you know, you fight for nothing. I come in there to entertain for all the fans that I fought at the Paramount for $0 basically. I put everything on the line for 6 to 8 weeks. I go to training camp in West Palm Beach, spar the hardest guys I could possibly find, and we don't get paid a damn thing. And even when we get to the show, you still don't get anything. It's a tough sport when it comes to that matter, but it really brings out the person that you really can be and what you really want to become. I love the sport of boxing. I love everybody that I've met. It has brought me ups and downs. Throughout my career, I've had 3 reconstructive surgeries in 6 years. I've only been boxing professionally for 6 years. I had 3 reconstructive surgeries, both of my shoulders and my hand. And it really tells people that, and it shows people, like just yesterday I did at an elementary school, I spoke and did workouts with these kids, these elementary kids, for like 3 hours for the physical education week. And one of the main questions was, how did you get up after your surgeries and get back in there after the majority of everybody said, you know, yeah, you can't do it. I said, I had to listen to them. I took it all into my hands. That's the best part about boxing. I don't have to rely on nobody else. And I got myself in the best shape I can to come back after each and every surgery, just like I'm going to do after this last fight that I lost. A lot of people know I lost the fight, but people don't really know how you lose the fight. I fought 3 fights in 3 months. I am now going into my 4th reconstructive surgery on Thursday for my left elbow. I have no ligament in my left elbow. I have no nerves going out that are working correctly, and I've been fighting like that for the past, you could say 2 fights. I originally earned it in September, but I continued to fight on, and I kept going throughout these fights as many times as I can, just because this is boxing, and I know what I've put into it, and they never got anything into it back in return. My entire career, every time I took 2 steps forwards, I took 2 steps back. Through injuries, or when I finally made it on ESPN, they wanted to make me a headliner, to when they all of a sudden lose their contract and get bought into another one, and I never get a chance to do that. So when HBO gave me a call and they wanted me on their show, I didn't care. I would have done whatever I had to. And the first time they called, I had to fight on Veterans Memorial Day, at Veterans Memorial Coliseum on Veterans Day, and it was by far the most amazing experience that I've ever had. And when they called me literally a week later, I didn't care if I had just 1 limb dispatched from me. I would have went out there and fought no matter what. So I don't really make any excuses, but a fighter's life is different than everybody else's when it comes to not being in that ring. Even my trainers, they didn't know that I was injured. Scott Lopek, Joe Gadiji, those guys didn't know that I was injured. To what extent? We worked around it. Everybody thought because I fought like this was my style. No, I fought like this because I can't bend here and I can't punch here. So I went literally to my last fight with 1 arm. That's what the surgeon said to me. But it is what it is. I'm going to do what I can to get back into the ring. I got a 6-month layoff. I'm the first fighter in the history to actually have a Tommy John surgery on your elbow. So it's a tough road. It's very, not only did I lose, but now I'm off for 6 months, and it's very hard and very stressful for everybody around me. But I keep myself occupied. I keep myself doing little events, and especially ones like this. As soon as they ask me to come down here, I 100% want to be part of it. So I want to thank you all for listening to me, and if you have any questions or anything, see, I'm better than Randy, I know.
Going into that last fight, because you read the headlines and everyone's putting you on that pedestal, were you overconfident at all?
Absolutely not. Even if when I fight, I don't even watch my fights afterwards. I probably watched the Ortiz fight maybe once. When I fought in September, I watched the other fight once when I was in the hospital. Confidence wasn't really there. It was, don't overtrain and don't ever do anything. Going into that last fight, I only spar once a week. Every day that I ran, I took 2 days off. It was just a lot of wear and tear, not knowing that I had a really major injury. Just thinking that, you know, I'm just sore, and you know, you have to be tough to go through that every day. So,
The question to you is,
you think you would have did a lot better? You would have switched to southpaw in the last fight because you would have had a stronger jab, a stronger leg. This way you only have one punch, one.
Right.
And cross your mind during the fight?
Yes, so if you watch like the full fight, I try to go lefty a few times, but I don't fight lefty all the time. I do it really good when I hit somebody standing against the ropes. I can switch and go this way, but I'm not elusive enough to go forwards. And the guy that I fought was so elusive. If I had a handful of rocks, I probably would have missed him. If the game was called tag, I would never even touch them. So everyone's like, oh, he was right there, we can't hit him. I'm like, I couldn't even touch him. He was like this. He's like, where you go? Mother! I get off the floor, boom, do it again, but I was always true to who I was. If someone knocks me down, I don't want to go back up and maybe I'll play games so I can get him the trigger and come in. I stayed who I was, and that was a fighter who comes forward, puts on some entertainment. I didn't suck it to everybody in HBO at one point. I was doing, if you guys didn't get to see it if you weren't there, I was doing whatever I could to get the guy to get into the ring with me and try to put on a show, even if it came out to be me being knocked out in front of everybody. But I came to TV to entertain everything. Nobody told me that what you can do and what you can't do. Just like my parents never came to my management meetings or told me anything about this sport of boxing. It's like the wild, wild west out here. So I took whatever I thought from a little bit of WWF, a little bit of football, put it all in one, give you some entertainment, and I don't mind sacrificing my body for the entertainment. But I can say that I'm pretty much positive this will be my last surgery before it's over. So, yes.
Your team, Scott and Pete Brodsky and Joe, I give those guys a lot of credit. I have known them for years. I was just with Joe Christian the other day with some girl sparring, and what a hell of a nice guy. And let me tell you, I give them a lot of kudos.
Yes, the one thing in boxing is you don't really have teammates. You learn that pretty quick. You don't have any teammates. Everyone you go to the gym with hates you, and it's just everyone wants to fight you. It's like, oh, this is great. But the one thing you learn is the teammates you have is actually your coaches that you're going to gain. Your coaches, your girlfriend becomes a teammate, your coaches' wives, their family, their friends, they all become your teammates. And that's the best thing about boxing as well. You get to have a special bond that you don't get from teammate to teammate, but you get with these coaches. And growing up, coaches to me was the outlets of life. My parents weren't the greatest at teaching you well and telling you right from wrong. But I was a good athlete, I was very cute, so my coaches really, really liked me and the teachers liked me, so I always was able to listen to them and respect them in every manner because I knew they were doing the right thing, and I believe in my coaches every time I see them, even if they are getting a little heavy.
I just want to say, it's not a question, but in your fight against Yves Ulysses, there's a thing, you put the pressure on. He didn't box you. He turned it into the Yves Ulysses Invitational Track Meet. And we've seen Lomachenko make 4 guys in a row quit. And I was watching with a group of guys who didn't know anything about you. And they said, you know, he's going to probably quit. I said, Cletus will not quit. He's frustrated. Because this guy refuses to fight him. All I could do the next day was praise you. Was what you did. You hung in there. And you showed us so much. That was not a losing effort. Because that was a track meet. That wasn't a fight. You did your job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was exactly what I meant when I went around. My coach told me, Pete Brodsky told me to just stand there, curse him a little bit, see if he'll fight you. And I could see the way that the referee was acting, and I didn't want him to stop the fight at all. I didn't come all the way to Canada for him to stop the fight with me just standing there, taunting the guy to come. I could have simply did that, and the fight could have been over, and the rest would have been history. But no, I got knocked down 3 times, and I wanted to still knock this guy's head off every round, and I kept true to myself, and that's the type of fighter I am, that's the type of person I am, that's the type of team that I have.
Cletus, did you feel the HBO commentary team was unfair to you, the way they described it, when you saw the tape later on?
Yeah, HBO in November treated me as if I was the next king of the world. And then in December, I was, what is the expression, one day in a dog, one day in a tree. And they pissed all over me and they took apart my trainers, and it is what it is. And I understand their job. Their job is to make sure whoever's winning to up their success. If they don't do it, they're not doing their job. So if I was doing a good job, they would have said something. But they took a little bit hit on me. But I also understand the fact that they were pushing me as hard as they could, and I didn't do what they expected. So I can see if they were, in my heart, taken back for that. So I'll give them a little slack, and I am going to meet them again, so I can't say anything.
Anyone else?
Pleasure seeing you here. I've been to many of your fights. The last time you fought in the Paramount, when I came out of the Paramount, there was a big truck out there, and they were giving out iced teas. Are you in the iced tea business?
No. They have
They
iced
said
tea.
you make them.
They go triple Cletus drinks. The one thing I learned about boxing is that you are your own product. You are the product. You have to make sure that you don't burn no bridges. Whenever you speak to somebody, whenever you talk to somebody, you're putting your product, your business on the line. I don't know how other fighters and other athletes do this, but my business, for me to get any money, is I have to go out there and talk to every single person, do sponsorships. I remember my first sponsorship, I gave a guy a thing on my shirt. He did my brakes. He did my brakes to me, so because I couldn't pay for my brakes, he gave me my brakes. I paid for my pay $100 for my sponsorship. I'm like, yo, this is great. So you definitely have to learn to do everything and go out there. That's the one thing I learned from the sport of MMA was that's all they did. The MMA guys had sponsorships on their trunks, on their banners, everything they could possibly have. And I was like, wow, I'm going to steal what they can do and bring it to me because I know what they were getting paid and it wasn't right. So I could see where they were making their money at. And that's something that's you got to be very smart and very hungry for. So.
I want to know how many amateur fights did you have or land as far as after boxing, because boxing is short-lived.
Right.
So have you prepared, basically,
Yeah, I had 30 amateur fights, 26-4, and went all the way to the finals, gold gloves, won the Ringside World Championships in 2010. Fought every tournament I could possibly fight, and then go pro. And the pro record was 21-1, 17 knockouts. Plans after boxing is definitely one of the most saddest things in any sport ever. At least in every other sport, you've made a little bit of money and you can fall back on that, buy a house. And the money that I made from HBO, I couldn't even buy a shack on Long Island, honestly. After boxing, the one thing, like I mentioned, was you don't burn any bridges. I have met so many great individuals that own up companies that I know that they would hire me and ask me to allow me to work with them. But who knows? These Ring 8 meetings and all these ring meetings around the country are here for a reason, because boxing is brutal. Promoters, managers make more money than the fighters. I made a third of what everybody else made in my last fight. A third, and I was a fighter. And I have no say in that for that fight. Learn my way from my last fight, and so I can go and use what I've learned in my past, bring it to my next bout. So that's not happening anymore, and I promised my team that, and my trainers that this is not going to happen this way anymore. So it's a tough, brutal world out there, and it's the only sport where you get street cred. I got the most street cred on Long Island you could possibly get. Come on, I'm like, oh, what's up, please? Oh, yeah, cool. Problem is, in 5 or 6 years, when nobody remembers me and everything's gone, I'm just going to be just, oh, yeah, that's I got you. But I do realize that, and I can see that now, at 31 years old, and only 6 years in the sport, where what possibly can happen to you.
Cletus, I'll tell you right now, we'll never forget you. So.
Speak.